Okay, today is August the 1st, 2020, and right now we're looking at a former hurricane. This is Hurricane Isaias, I believe it is, and we can see here on the National Hurricane Center map, we've got 70 mile per hour sustained winds. This was a hurricane earlier today, Category 1, with 75 mile per hour winds. I think it was up at 80 actually. It was 80 mile per hour sustained winds. We see that the central pressure is up at 993 millibar, and it's moving northwest at 9 miles per hour. Now, if we look at the water vapor map right here, the close-up water vapor map, we can see that this storm has been targeted. Look at this right here. And we'll watch the progression. It's targeted and completely disorganized. So today I can say officially that the weather controllers, they did something right. They got rid of this thing. There's no rotation. We don't see any eye wall. We do see it rebuilding here, but again, we see the blast pattern. So as soon as this thing started to rise, this air mass over here, they targeted it again. So this has been hit twice. We see that pressure wave all the way around. That's an expanding roll cloud, I guess you can call it. And we see the area over here rebuild, and then it's targeted again, and we can see that icicle pattern, just the very beginnings of that, the icicle pattern here once it rebuilds. But we can see the pressure waves from the superheated water vapor. This is a former hurricane. The satellite transmitters are targeting it and superheating the water vapor to break that storm down. And once again, we see it rebuild, and we can see that the blast pattern, the pressure waves from that blast pattern. Now, if we look at the water temperature for the area, let me get the contrast up here. We can see that the water temperature, we got 29 and 30 degrees Celsius in this area right along Florida. So the green area is 29 degrees C, which equates to about 84.2 degrees Fahrenheit. So up at 30 degrees C, which is this area here, that's 86 degrees Fahrenheit. So we've got some very warm water between 84 and 86 degrees going up the coast here. But as I mentioned, the weather controllers have targeted this storm effectively, and that's working out. We're seeing diminishment, and we can see it once again. Look at the pressure wave develop right around the edge of the storm. There's actually no rotation, and there's just a lot of disorganized water vapor. And of course, the proximity of that low pressure helps to rebuild. As we see here, the storm actually rebuilt over in this area. So there is low pressure and water vapor and rising air. There's a lift in the atmosphere, and of course that will allow this condensation to occur. So that's some very dramatic footage there of a hurricane being destroyed. Now, once again, this thing can rebuild, and it could be allowed to skirt right up the coast. We'll have to keep an eye on this, but at least for now, we see a lot of diminishment. An effort is being made to knock that storm down. Now, here's the water view, the continental U.S. view, and we see this area over here was targeted fairly recently. Watch this. Watch the loop once again. In the meantime, we've got right now at 6:10 p.m. here on the west coast, we have a temperature of 90 degrees Fahrenheit. We've got 42% for the relative humidity, and we have a 64-degree dew point. That's higher than it's been for, well, quite a while, actually, a couple of weeks. The barometric pressure is at, let's take a look here, we're at 29.92 on one barometer. On the big marine barometer, 29.92. So we'll keep an eye over here. This is the monsoonal season that's being blocked. We've got high pressure up here that's been installed. We've had clear skies for many, many days. And what I mean by clear skies is there is no clouds, 0 clouds in the skies of any kind, except for today, pardon me, way out on the east horizon near the Palm Springs, Banning and Palm Springs. You could see on the horizon there was some cumulonimbus development looking to the east out here near the Palm Springs area. Right here, let's watch this loop once again. We see the very tail end of that, the destruction of this rising air mass right here. And so we saw that pressure wave, and then they hit it again. You can see the remnants of that. But this is the big news here. This was going to move right up the coast, right along Florida, Georgia, South and North Carolina, and all the way up. And of course, we have a full moon in just about, I don't know, 3 days or so. 2 days, 2.5 days. And we see something here. Something right here, which is beginning to spin counterclockwise. And, you know, if we have a low pressure and a former hurricane moving up, this will tend to, these may merge and cause some bad weather at some point. We'll have to see what happens. But it looks like we've got a high pressure being maintained in this area. It looks, at least for the time being, we see a sort of a flat spot here in the long wave IR map. And then we have a lot of thunderstorm development right over the Carolinas, which looks like it was targeted. Let's watch this again. Yeah, right over South and North Carolina. And this area is targeted. We can see the pressure wave right there. See a hole open up right in the middle of that rising column of air. Okay, let's take a look here once again. Okay, we looked at the National Hurricane Center. Let's just take a look. We've got Isaias, that's diminished to tropical storm status for the time being. We have this disturbance out here with a 30% chance of hurricane formation in 2 days. And then we have another tropical depression off of Africa, west coast of Africa, with sustained winds of 30 miles per hour. And this is moving to the northwest at about 13. So at least for now, this may move up into the northern Atlantic area. And there's nothing happening in the East Pacific or the Central Pacific, you know, right now for the time being. There it is. Isaias has been targeted and beat down for the time being. So we'll have to keep an eye on things. And we'll get another report up here probably tomorrow, Sunday. By the way, a couple of videos ago, I mentioned, you know, we were talking about viruses and masks. And I mentioned that I got some bad information, which I should have checked myself to double check it. But the typical size of viruses are anywhere from 20 to 450 nanometers, not microns. I mentioned microns in the last, well, 2 or 3, 4 videos back. Viruses are very, very small. So we're talking 20 to 450 nanometers. A nanometer is a billionth of an inch, 10 to the minus 9th inches. So just want to make that correction. Also, Hurricane Patricia, that was actually in October of 2015. So if you want to find that video in the Pacific Redwood Archives, you can just scroll to October the 27th, I believe it was, 2015. All right, and you'll see the progression of that hurricane and how that was blown apart. Kind of like what we're seeing right here with Isaias. So that storm was targeted right at the last second, and just like kind of like Hurricane Douglas over in Hawaii here just a couple of days ago, 4 to 5 days ago. So once again, Isaias has been targeted. It may reform. We'll just have to see. We see a big hole there. The storm will rebuild itself, given the chance. So they'll have to repeatedly hit the area and stop that lift in the atmosphere and superheat that water vapor. Look at that blast pattern there. Look at that circular pressure wave. Wow. So they are applying power, which is interesting. That's a good thing. We can see how this technology can work to save lives rather than to profit on Wall Street and to you know, shuffle everybody overboard like what's going on now with the economy. We've got, you know, Democrat governors and mayors that are shutting down, unnecessarily so, shutting down cities over a cold virus. You know, this has got to be stopped. People have to get back to work, and we can't just shut the country down every time we have a flu season. I think that's where this is all headed. We've got criminals running the show. We've got Bill Gates involved. He's not a medical doctor. His wife's not a medical doctor. And this thing is getting way out of hand. We don't want to have to show our papers and tell, you know, show the corporations that we've been vaccinated to get on an airplane or to shop in a store. This has all gone way too far. I think in the next video we'll post the latest coronavirus results. They're still microscopic. There's no justification whatsoever. The percentages, there's only 3 states in the entire country that have broken 1/10 of 1% in terms of the cases, I believe it is. Anyway, we'll post that on the next go around. Okay, that's it.